Hello students, a very good evening. Welcome to Vijay Mohan IAS Academy, and this is Vijay Mohan. Hope everyone is doing well and everyone's preparation is going very well. So this is the module of Tspsc Group 1 Mains Paper 4 video course and test series, which is exclusively intended for English medium. As of now, we are dealing with Telangana economy and particularly first chapter of the Telangana economy. In previous videos, we had a discussion about the deprivation and underdevelopment of Telangana economy in United AP, right? So we already completed agriculture sector, deprivation of agriculture sector in the United AP, and we already completed industrial sector. In the previous video, we had a discussion about the deprivation of industrial sector in the United AP. Now in this video, I'll be going to discuss about the remaining issues where the deprivation has been there, where the Telangana economy seen deprivation. Particularly, I'll be discussing about employment, deprivation in employment, and deprivation in surplus, that is Telangana surplus or diversion of Telangana surplus. So with these two issues, by covering these two issues, the topic of deprivation of Telangana economy under the period of United Andhra Pradesh will be finished, right? So now we will see what is the deprivation of employment, then we will see the diversion of Telangana surpluses, right? Yes. First we will see discrimination or deprivation in employment. So you know that at the time of the merger of Telangana from the Hyderabad state to form Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh, there were large-scale apprehensions as far as Telangana people and Telangana leaders are concerned regarding the employment opportunities, and also job opportunities, right? They were thinking that and their apprehensions are right in a manner if you see the deprivation of job opportunities in the United AP. At that time, the apprehensions were that as the educational background, you can say the attainment of educational indicators, literacy levels, opportunities, when compared to Telangana, the people of Andhra are well placed at the time of the formation of Andhra Pradesh. So obviously, the leaders and people of Telangana are afraid that the opportunities in the United Andhra Pradesh will be captured or colonized by the Andhra people. So in order to address these apprehensions and many other apprehensions, you know that there was gentleman's agreement. And in the gentleman's agreement, education aspect has also been addressed. And along with the gentleman's agreement, there was a stress on the Mulki rules, which was started during the Nizam period. And after that came the presidential order. So all these safeguards were being placed in order to protect the interests of the employment opportunities of the Telangana students or Telangana people and Telangana employees. However, even after all these safeguards, there were violations of these safeguards and there were deprivation and discrimination in terms of employment, right? Now we will see one by one. So there is a discontent among Telangana employees and Telangana students and Telangana people. And time to time, Telangana Regional Committee used to submit what is the deprivation, how they are being deprived. Now, what are the particular reasons for this discontent among the Telangana employees or students? First one is the recruitment into the government departments was not done on the basis of unified service rules of the regions in the United Andhra Pradesh. So the recruitment was not done based on the unified service rule of the regions in the United Andhra Pradesh. So even in the forming of service rules also, They are not taken into consideration. Even if they are taken into consideration the Mulki rules, the recruitment process has given so many exemptions, like compassionate grounds, like spousal grounds. So seldom it was adhered to the Mulki rules, and there was more violations than compliances. So the recruitment was not done on the basis of unified service rules of the regions in the United Andhra Pradesh. So recruitment rules was in a manner implemented in a partition manner, right? So this is one of the reason. And so the second reason is, of the employment opportunities which are created in Telangana, the non-local Andhra people got recruited in high proportion. So the youth obviously in Telangana deprived of the opportunity of getting jobs, and they had to suffer from unemployment. So even the employment opportunities which are created in Telangana, non-local Andhra people got recruited in high proportion. So obviously because of this, there is a deprivation, or there is a loss of job opportunities for Telangana youth, and they had to suffer from widespread or wide-scale unemployment. So these are the two reasons for the discontent among the Telangana people or employees or youth as far as employment opportunities are concerned, right? Now, if you see the development of, because of this unemployment, because of this deprivation, the development of human resources in Telangana got a setback. So the development of the development of human resources in Telangana got a setback due to the discrimination in the recruitment to different jobs. So obviously, if employment opportunities are increased, if employment opportunities being provided in the public sector, then there will be a concomitant effect on the development of human resources. Because of lack of these things, there is an obvious effect on the development of the human resources, skill sets of the Telangana people as a whole, right? So this is a kind of deprivation, right? Next, if we see what is the magnitude of this discrimination, try to answer this practice question based on our discussion. Critically evaluate the magnitude and implications of discrimination in employment opportunities of Telangana people in United Andhra Pradesh. So you need to critically evaluate what is the magnitude and implications of discrimination in employment opportunities of Telangana people in United Andhra Pradesh. So we try to solve this question. Now we will move to another area, another important area where you can observe discrimination, and this area is very important, as already in previous exam 2 questions have been asked from the same topic. We will see those questions. It was asked in Tspsc Group 1 2016 mains, right? So as we are discussing, and again we will go back to the historical context and gentleman's agreement. Historically, Telangana area, even during the period of Nizam's rule also, and even at the formation of the Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh, Telangana area has been a strong one as far as creation of revenue is concerned. And the per capita revenue generation, especially from the land revenue, was being more in Telangana compared to Andhra during the formation of the United Andhra Pradesh. And industrially, and Telangana area was industrially well developed. Public sector industrial profile is also well developed, right? So all these things created doubt and apprehensions among the leaders of the Telangana that if United Andhra Pradesh state has been created, there is a probability that the surplus revenues which are being generated from the Telangana may be used for plugging the deficit of the Andhra area. That is, the surplus of Telangana would not be used, may not be used in the Telangana's development. There was an apprehension, and gentleman's agreement provided specifically for this, that the revenue, the surplus of the Telangana will be used for the development of Telangana only. However, those promises were not fulfilled, and it has created agitations, right? The apprehensions of the Telangana leaders during the formation of United Andhra Pradesh became in fact real, right? So now we will see actually what is the meaning of this surplus of Telangana. What is the magnitude of this surplus? What are the committees that are being appointed to calculate this surplus? What are the implications that Telangana economy had because of the diversion of this surplus to the Andhra area? So all these details we will see. First and foremost, we will first see the historical backdrop of taxation revenue of Telangana. Then we will be having an idea that how much surplus Telangana area was, how much surplus Telangana area used to produce, and how much strong is the case of generation of surplus of Telangana, right? So historical backdrop of taxation revenue of Telangana during 1980s, the land revenue of Telangana was rupees 1.026 crores from a population of 0.3 crores, making a per capita revenue of 3.42 rupees, right? The revenue figure for areas of Andhra was rupees 2.16 crores revenue for a population of 1.19 crores, making the per capita revenue at rupees 1.82. So you have to concentrate per capita revenue of Telangana during 1986 rupees 3.42, and per capita revenue of Andhra during almost same period is rupees 1.82. Almost the per capita revenue of Telangana is double than the per capita revenue of Andhra. Right, in 1880, the revenue of Telangana under the Nizam was nearly 88% more than that of Andhra under British. Now you observe how strong is the case of Telangana in terms of revenue generation. Right, now we will see what is the position put forth by the Linguistic Provinces Commission of 1948. As per the report of this committee, the per capita revenue of Telugu, that is Andhra districts of Madras province during 1945-48 was rupees 6.46. Okay. On the other hand, the per capita income of the Hyderabad state, in which Telangana was the largest region, worked out as rupees 12.80. So here also there is a glaring difference between the revenue generation capacity of the Telangana and the revenue generation capacity of Andhra. Thus, per capita revenue of Hyderabad state, you can take it as similar to the Telangana area, because Telangana area is the geographically largest region in Hyderabad state. So, thus per capita revenue of Hyderabad state comparatively was almost double that of Andhra districts of Madras. So during 1940s, 1945 to 48 also, per capita revenue of Hyderabad, Telangana area and Hyderabad state is nearly double, almost double that of the Andhra districts of Madras. Right, now we will again see one more commission's, what you say, justification, or you can say the facts which are given by the States Reorganization Commission of 1955. The per capita income of Telangana districts in Hyderabad state was rupees 15.07. Now the per capita income for the Andhra state was reported as 10.53 rupees, 10.53. Almost per capita income is more, 5 rupees more for the Telangana districts in Hyderabad state. So what is the inference that we will be able to draw here? The inference is that historically Telangana region had higher annual per capita revenue than Andhra. So historically, Telangana region had higher annual per capita revenue than Andhra. And further, the per capita tax the per capita tax was also high in Telangana compared to Andhra. If you take the land revenue, the per capita tax, land tax was more in Telangana compared to Andhra. So at the time of formation of Andhra Pradesh, Andhra state had deficit budget and Telangana had a surplus budget. This is the basic thing that you need to remember while writing answer about the Telangana surpluses. So at the time of the formation of Andhra Pradesh, Andhra state had the deficit budget while Telangana had a surplus budget. Now, from here onwards, after the formation of 1956, the surplus of Telangana area has been diverted or has been utilized to plug the revenue deficit of Andhra. So in this manner, the surpluses, revenue surpluses on revenue account as well as on capital account, both of them have been used to plug the revenue deficit of the Andhra area. Now that is where the crux lies. That is where the agitation lies. That is where the discrimination lies. And because of this diversion, obviously Telangana comparatively, even though the revenue is more in Telangana, there are pockets of backwardness, pockets of areas where backwardness is there in Telangana. So obviously because of this diversion, Telangana was not able to spend its surplus resources on the development of its backward areas. This is another kind of dimension. This is another kind of deprivation. First, the revenue surplus of the Telangana area has been diverted to Andhra. And second, the diverted funds were more spent in Andhra area rather than the development of the backward regions of the Telangana area. Right? Now we will see how it has been done in a periodical manner. So first, before that, we need to understand what is actually this surplus. What is the definition of this surplus? What is the origin of this Telangana surplus? And how the surplus is being calculated? Who are the stakeholders? What are the committees? And what are the principles or modalities that they have adopted to calculate this surplus? And what is the position of the Telangana Regional Committee? Right? And what are the final statistics as far as this surplus is concerned? We will see one by one. So Telangana budgetary surplus during 1956 to 1969. First, we will see this period, 12 years of period, right? Nearly 12 years of period. So what is the origin of this Telangana surplus? As per the gentleman's agreement, the expenditure of the central and general administration of the state, that is United Andhra Pradesh, should be borne proportionately by the two regions, and the balance of income from Telangana region should be reserved for expenditure on the development of Telangana region. This is the origin, right? So gentleman's agreement is saying that the expenditure on the central and general administration of the state should be borne proportionately by the two regions, and the balance of income from Telangana region should be reserved for expenditure on the development of Telangana region only. Now, there is no clarity given by the gentleman's agreement what constitutes the central and general administration of the state and what constitutes the proportionality ratio. We will see in the coming pages that what was the confusion regarding these things, right? So as of now, the origin is the gentleman's agreement. Okay, now we will see definition of the Telangana surplus. What is the definition of Telangana surplus? So it can be defined as, see, it is very important because if any question is being asked in the Telangana surplus, you first try to write the meaning of Telangana surplus or definition of Telangana surplus. Then the examiner will be knowing that, yes, you know that, you know about the Telangana surplus. Then it will give a framework, an organized framework for your answer. So the definition of Telangana surplus is that it can be defined as the state's own revenues derived within Telangana region, which had not been utilized fully within the region. including for its developmental needs. So there are three components in the definition. Telangana surplus is nothing but state's own revenues which are derived within the Telangana region, but which had not been utilized fully within the region. So it is the state's own revenues, first component, which was derived within the Telangana region, second component, but which had not been utilized fully within the region, that is the third component. So Telangana surpluses are the amount that ought to have been spent in Telangana. So Telangana surpluses are the amount that should have been spent in Telangana but have been diverted for expenditure in the Andhra region. This is another form of definition, right? They are the revenue surpluses or surplus money that has to be utilized in the Telangana area but have been diverted to the expenditure in the Andhra region. Now, they represent the difference between the due share of government expenditure for Telangana and the actual share. So they also represent that the Telangana surplus also represent the due share of the government expenditure. What should be the expenditure of the government in the Telangana area, and what is the actual expenditure that was done in Telangana. The difference between these due share and actual share is the Telangana surplus, right? So this is the definition of Telangana surplus. And what is the ambiguity in principles or modalities for calculating Telangana surplus? Now you have a definition about the Telangana surplus. Now you need to calculate the Telangana surplus. So how will you calculate? What are the principles that you have to base to calculate the Telangana surplus? What are the modalities and what are the opinion of different stakeholders? See here, stakeholders are Government of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana Regional Committee and different commissions and committees appointed by government in different times. So these three, what are the opinions of these three stakeholders? Right? So there are initially some ambiguities in principles or modalities for calculating Telangana surplus. What are those ambiguities? Two ambiguities came directly from the gentleman agreements conditions only. What are those? One is that, as I already told you, it did not define what is central and general administration. So it did not define what is the central administration and what is the general administration. And second condition is that the expenditure should be borne proportionately, but it did not mention what is that proportionate, what is that ratio, whether it is 1:2, whether it is 2:1, whether it is 1:1. So these are the two broad ambiguities that came from the gentleman's agreement itself, right? So to remove this ambiguity, Andhra Pradesh State Finance Department in the year 1957 issued some guidelines. So in order to remove these ambiguities and facilitate clarity or provide clarity, in 1957, Andhra Pradesh State Finance Department issued some guidelines, and there was a discussion on those guidelines between Government of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana Regional Committee, and they have accepted on some of the principles or some of the guidelines which are put by the Andhra Pradesh State Finance Department, right? We will see. So what are the agreements or understandings on principles or modalities to calculate Telangana surplus? See, all calculation of Telangana surplus, right? Now, after coming to this point, yes, we came to know that certain amount of Telangana surplus has been diverted to Andhra area. And because of this, what are the implications on Telangana economy? For example, if tomorrow they might ask, yes, it has been popular perception or endorsed by different countries that Telangana surplus has been diverted to AP. So because of that, write the implications of this diversion of Telangana surplus on the Telangana economy. So what are the implications? Broadly, we will see the Telangana surpluses were diverted to Andhra in a substantial manner, substantially. The expenditure on developmental projects such as irrigation and electricity and economic services was less than what it ought to be. So obviously, the expenditure will be less on the important infrastructural and economic services like irrigation and electricity and other economic services, right? Sufficient expenditure was not made on human resource development. Thereby, Telangana region had lagged in many human development indicators. Further, there has been a setback in economic progress. All this has created obstacles, hurdles, setbacks for the economic progress for 2 generations. Already less employment opportunities had taken a toll on the younger generation. Again, this revenue surplus which is diverted again had created a pressure situation as far as financial resources are concerned. So there was a deprivation from many counts. So further, there has been a setback in the economic progress for 2 generations. This has been resulted in non-development of middle class population. Again, this has resulted in the non-development of middle class population in the Telangana, thereby not able to create the necessary market demand for its comprehensive economic progress. Right? So these are the implications of this diversion of Telangana surplus to Andhra region. This is one more important, you can say one more important table as far as Telangana surplus is concerned. Now we will see some of the previous year questions and practice questions. So these are the 2 previous questions which are being asked in Tspsc 2016 exam, right? Explain the case of diversion of Telangana revenue surpluses under United Andhra Pradesh administration. So